done, awesome. Kick it over to the blues. Let's kick it to the blues. Oranges to me, Blues attack the non-bibs. Yeah, good. That's it. Get one more in. Work off the ball now, boys. Past that line. One more touch. Yeah, great work, Angus, kicking it through. Non-bibs that way. Non-bibs working line. Let's wait for us to get back. Blues are defending. Defending. We're playing 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Now we've got the idea, boys. Try and keep this game flowing. Good. Kick it over there. Kick it through. Blues out the way. Blues defending. Great intensity. Non-bibs unlucky. That's one phase done. Unlucky, so basically got to kick over to the oranges. Just slightly missed the process, that's fine. Oranges are going to attack in the non-bibs. Attack the non-bibs. And Blues will attack next. Yeah, good, break the line. One more phase left. Where's the space? Good, kick it over oranges. Non-bibs down this end. Non-bibs jog it through. Non-bibs jog it through. Oranges, you're defending. Oranges, you're defending.
We're defending.
Yeah, and freeze that. Okay, boys, now we've got an idea of the game. I just want you to split into your 3 teams and just talk about how you're going to attack. So oranges down that end, please. Non-bibs in the middle. Blues on the try line. So oranges down that end. Non-bibs in the middle. We'll set up as we're going to play. Blues just there for me. So you've got 10 seconds. Just talk about how you're going to defend. Guys, feel free to go around and see what they're saying. Five seconds, boys. 3, 2, 1. Oranges, you want to attack first. Non-bibs are defending. Let's play with the round ball. One more phase, oranges. Yeah, great offload. Kick it over there. Oh, unlucky. Kick it over there. Non-bibs out the way. Non-bibs down to the bottom. Oranges kick it over. Tip it over to the blues. Tip it over to the blues and you're defending oranges. Remember, as soon as you attack, you're then defending. One more phase left. Blues. Are you going to get through? Where's the space? Yeah, good. Chip over. Chip it over. Oranges out the way. Oranges jump through. Blues defending. Defending now, isn't it? There you go, great offload, non-bibs, tip it over then, Blues out the way, Blues to me. Oh, nice deep kick, make it work. One more. Good ball movement. Yeah, like it, they can chip it over. Great, he's got the game like that. Non-bibs out the way, Oranges defending. That's fine. Good, get ourselves centered on the screen. Lucky. Don't even touch yet, so we're still playing. We're going to work now. There's one phase. 3 more left. 2 phases. You playing? In ball, still stuck in. Got 2 more phases left, Blues. How are we going to get past that game line? Lucky. 1 more phase. Good hands, good. Chip it through. Last 30 seconds. Last go. Chip it through. Blues defending. Oranges out of the way. Great feet. Finish that. Yeah, good. Like it. Boys, in we come. Bring that ball in for me, please. Puddle. Great work, boys. In we come. Awesome work. So what did we talk about in our huddles? I should have a chat about how we can attack best and what things we said. Okay, good. So good. So how did that change our attack? Why? What is it? We have more depth in attack. didn't have go forwards, how successful were we? So we did have go forwards right at the end, great footwork. Yeah, straight away, what have we got? Success, that was good, right? Yeah. Once we've run out of space, what do we need to have? Yes, a little bit harder for you two teams, maybe a little bit easier for the extra person. Okay, so is it multiple options, right? Just one person always. Does that limit that? Awesome, so a couple of principles there we can really start thinking about, especially attacking the ball and getting successful. So, how good were our handlers? Who's that? Not too bad. When weren't they though? Okay, when we were clustered and we didn't have depth, we could see them static, reinforcing and so on. Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to build that into our handles. Okay, so we're going to use this space over here, guys. So can I have the blues on here? Just up here. The non-bigs, can you go on the 22s there? You're going to face that way? No, good. And perfect. Can I have two oranges in the middle, one orange, two in the blues? Okay, good. Place me. So boys, we're going to work in this square here. So we're going to work to the line here, halfway line is here, on the 22, again on the 15-metre line. That's that way. If you're on this side, you're always attacking towards the lights. If you're this side, you're always attacking towards the halfway line. You guys just defend in the middle. Okay? Really simple. You guys have got a ball, you guys have got a ball. As soon as this line's gone, you guys can start. Okay? Only conditions are you can only pass sideways or backwards. Okay? The other principles are exactly the same. Okay? So move the ball into space. As soon as we got past the defenders, we turn them ready to face the other way, that line will go. Does that make sense? Walking through then, let's go.
It's about how you simplify.
Get touched as past the ball, same as before. Unlucky, keep going. Get that go for, get past the defence. Good ball face. Get through. Where's the space? Great hands. Unlucky. Next move, go. Next move, go. Defence got work. Great hands straight away. Good footwork. Where's the space? Yeah, good. Yeah. Bottom line, go. Where's the space? Where's the space?
Yeah, one of the 4 defenders up. Yeah, it needs a simple drill. You're right.
You'd have a defensive line and then just pass it outside.
But
because they're getting fatigued.
Yeah, awesome. Scored straight away. Space was there. Yeah, this one, go.
I think it's there. One thing that surprises me was these under 13. Yeah. What's the size between
Give me a couple of things that we can do to get success from this. What can we change? This group arguably a little bit more success. Why? A bit wider. Okay, so we switch it over. Your group go here. Your group go here. Let's see if that changes. Change over the balls as well, actually. Yeah, change over the balls. Was that a factor?
Yes.
You think? Yeah? Maybe we need it to cancel. What else? Give me a couple of basics that we can think about to make sure it's accurate. Hands up, good. Okay, so in this situation we should always expect the ball, can't we? Okay, so we haven't got it, let's make sure our hands are up on the side. Anything else? Speed of it as well. Is that going to help us or that? I don't know. Okay. What do you mean by skills? Okay, good. So what have we always, using our step, what have we always got to make sure we've got as a team?
Momentum.
Which gives us,
Your tongue gun thing, Saracens
said earlier, principle of play?
Exactly.
Go forwards. Okay, so I'm going to give you again three touches or 3 phases. Try and break them 2 defenders. Okay, so think about how we're going to generate that go forward. Once we've made the pass and if we're not quite there, what are we then doing off the ball? Okay, how does that work? Blue line, you're going to go. Go, play, towards me. Yeah, good show and go. Liking that. Yeah, go. Got a bit through them. Yes! Good movement of the ball. Great show and go again. Yeah, he's broken it. Yeah, this one can go again. Go.
One more.
Yeah.
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
Loving that. Keep going again, boys.
Has he been coaching us in the meantime? Yeah. You know what these are all going to
Stars,
be.
little stars. So much better than that.
That's one of the most of the team, though.
Yeah. Don't bother coming to play.
Yeah, look at that with our hands. Yeah, let's go again. Last couple. Where's the space? Great hands again. Yeah, bottom group, mate. Lucky.
Yeah, wide.
Simple phases. Great draw and pass. Awesome work. Okay, great work. Here we come. In a second, we're going to go back into our 3-team game and just try and think about the skills from there. So how do we get through the man? Okay, so what are we doing in the area? So we haven't got to go forward, then we do with the defensive space. If I move forward here, then you go there, that's great. I'll move across. Okay, so what can I use to make you think?
They're going to sit down and talk about their feelings.
Space there, let's take it, let's start making the move and making
What are
it
they?
stick.
Their backs.
Then if I've got options, I can then
Feeling.
pick which
Feelings.
ones are going to be the best one. What do we need to keep to make sure that happens? Okay, what does that mean for us? Talking, what else? Pointing, yeah, so a bit of scanning comes into that as well. If you're talking and I've got the ball, what do I need to do? I need to listen, don't I? Because it's all well and good that you're talking, if I don't listen, then it doesn't mean anything. Okay, so make sure you listen. You got water? Grab a quick drink. Go back. Okay. So guys, we're just going to break them back into that game. I just want to see actually if their hand skill sets improve, just on that 3-team before we move on again. But again, just 2 variations there of a game, not necessarily conventional. Some elements into it in terms of obviously 1 forward pass backwards, but 3 teams, always kind of guessing there's a kicking element into that as well. How does that change with their catch and pass? They've got to receive high, low, and change the way they're doing it. Change the ball up, got the success rate of that with the round ball and the rugby ball. And then obviously broke that into arguably still a game, because they're still trying to get an objective into it, but maybe a little bit more of a breakout skill, looking at those core principles of play, and then bring a couple of skill sets into there as well. So some technical stuff, hands up, a bit of communication as well. So we'll see if that's improved that into that 3rd game and before we move on into it. So boys, we're going to go straight back into that 3-team game, okay? So exactly the same as we've done before, in exactly the same area. We're going to use the rugby ball. We'll go to rugby ball and round ball for this one. Okay, so let's have non-bids in the middle. Non-bids in the
Seems
middle.
when the phones aren't going off, they're kicking each other up the arse.
You're going to kick it to blues, who are going to attack first. Okay, exactly the same as before. You've got 2 attempts now to try and break the line. 2 attempts. That's 1 touch. Got 1 more attempt.
Good pass.
Good, unlucky. Kick it through then, blues. Kick it through. The oranges, non-oranges out the way. Good. I'm going to put pressure on them, blues. Yeah. Great, go forward. Great draw.
Yes, right.
That's awesome, hands. Kick it through, oranges. Kick it through. Blues out the way, then blues down left. You're attacking them. Okay, so you're attacking them. Good, kick it over. Okay, boys, your game now. You know the rules. You've got to keep making sure it's flowing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Fred.
Yeah, they haven't quite got that good.
Yeah. Probably a difference in physical size between someone. Look at that.
30 seconds, boys. Keep working hard.
Over there, he's a whisper before. He's 8 levels out. 3 or 4 years.
Keep the game flowing, boys. You know the
His
rules.
gallop is unbelievable. Goodness, the size. Look at me in months. That's like going to level out one of these years. Just the size of guts.
Nice.
And 3 there. Okay, boys, just come together as one group. Just talk about what was good in that last block, but also just have a little talk with each other about what maybe could have been improved a little bit more to get more success. Okay, so what was really good? Make sure we get the positives in, and then just talk about what can we work on as a group in terms of that. Guys, just feel free to listen in, just to see what they're discussing.
No, talk to Gavin.
Yeah, they're like working on the form. So, like stuff like that.
Put in the space so
Yeah.
when they give us support.
You need to get stupid line.
Then
Yeah.
I'm drawn bad.
be more creative to make the defense thing. Yeah.
And know where we're going for.
More communication. Yeah.
What does that mean though, communication?
Speak to each other.
Because I know where the other person is.
No, we're understood.
Your teammates going to hear you. I've heard lots of whispering tonight. How are they going to hear you?
Shouting.
Let's be more vocal about it.
Communicating louder on the pitch.
You're doing well, boys.
Did you enjoy the game though?
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you
Okay,
hate of the
awesome
game,
boys,
mate?
can you now split into 2 even teams for me, please? So one team in bibs, one team in non-bibs.
We have one more.
So right, coach, can you stand this side for me and kind of be our sideline? On these all split. There's 4 boxes in the game now, so that blue box there and that orange box is pretty much the sideline there. Exactly where you are, that's perfect. Oh, this should be interesting. Yeah, as long as you've got 2 equal number teams, please, and then you just turn around the other way, boys. So bibs this side, non-bibs down that end, please. We're just going to play in this section, just here.
Scoring in each corner. We did this at level 1.
Once you score in one corner, you can't go back to it.
Of any contact at all, so don't worry about gum shields and stuff. Really simple, guys. I'm going to give you 4. It's going to be a 4-touch turnover. Okay, so 4 touches within the game. The pitch is up to the coaches, down to the halfway line here. Okay, so the code line. If you get touched, you have to put the ball around your waist, okay, before you pass it. Defence, discipline, make sure we're back on side. Okay, really simple. Now, the try line runs across the end. There's a box in each corner. The blue box there for the bibs, blue box, and then a red and orange box for you guys. Red, orange. The try line runs across. You get 10 points if you score a try. You get 5 points if you manage to kick the ball and it lands in the box. Okay? And it bounces out as 5. If it lands in the box, you get 5 points. 10 points for a try. How many points for a kick? 5 points for a kick. Everybody understand? How many touches for a turnover? 4. Awesome. If you get touched, what you've got to do? Round your waist, defend, make sure we get back on side, and then we play from there. Play.
Kick it.
Run cross!
During the last place, then you kick it back in.
We're kicking it straight up. Kicking it straight.
Yeah, we're not all as good aim as you.
You're kicking sublime down, isn't it?
Oh, I'm cheeky up and under, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. One more. Touch turnover.
Essentially
Big
kicked
ball.
it.
Play.
Yeah,
Play.
the rugby league
Go.
bit.
How many phases have you done? 7 or more?
Right, come backwards, play on, that's 1.
Yes,
Why
yes.
pass it on the back?
Come backwards, play on, 2. 3.
Yeah.
One more.
Yeah, no, I
Kick,
know.
not kick. Yeah,
Play
well
on
done.
here. Unlucky, play on, non-bibs. Non-bib ball, leave it orange. Non-bib balls, play.
Brains of the outfit then. That was the brains of the outfit then. Was it?
Yeah.
Kick it on the last phase.
Great show and go. Touch there.
He's showing off his handling skills, isn't he? Ooh,
Unlucky, turnover, just knocked on there, but much better play. Big ball, let's go. Got a minute left in this game. Still 0-0. How are we going to get a score? 1.
By passing the ball in the back, they can defend set up.
Well, that.
Backwards, play on. 30 seconds left of this game.
big kick.
Turnover. 10 seconds. Can we get a score? It's 0-0. Two phases. 5, 4, 3. Non-big ball. Non-big ball. Knocks it out.
Oh, shot.
Okay, boys, split into your two teams. Just talk about what we've already looked at tonight. What's missing from this game? How do we get our momentum back in the game? So you've got 10 seconds. Okay, how are we going to get scored in here?
We're trying to get the
That's it. You've got been touched 3 times.
Couldn't 8 days and started school. They delivered fully not super fast.
It's 10 seconds, boys, let me play it.
Every time you make a touch, it's on there.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Play. Good job.
Yeah! To the right!
On pace. So I scored? Yeah, score it. Put it down. Good. 10 points. 10-0. Let's play.
Yeah, left.
Unlucky. Turnover ball. New ball on me. Play. 2-sided turnover ball, non-big ball here, place 10. New ball on the round ball. Thank you. Oh, unlucky, yeah, play non-big, that's what play big. Great offloads, get an extra point for that. Yeah, lovely that actually scored. 21-0. Come on, non-bibs, how are we going to score? Let's go. Yeah. A minute left. Great footwork, great go forward. Play on, it's gone backwards. Give me that score. Good, 21-10. 9 seconds left. New ball, play. Who's gone? New ball. Yeah. Score. 21-20. 15 seconds. Play on non-bibs. 10, 9, 8,
Yes!
7, it's 21-20. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 3. Boom, good take. Okay boys, awesome. In we come. In we come. Let me get him back a little bit. Okay, so what was better in that second round of that game?
We were much better at not stopping.
What were non-bibs good at? What was better about their attack? They managed to claw it back. Press defence, so they put you a bit more under pressure, so you got a couple of early scores, and then you actually struggled. Okay. Non-bibs, what were bibs good at? Keeping it alive. In what way? Give me an example.
They're trying not to get tagged.
Awesome, okay, good. So yeah, on the touch, draw you in maybe, and then look to offload. Good, good offloading game. Good. So definitely more momentum, wasn't there? So straight away we had go forwards, okay, that got us up the field, and they were just try and get in those scoring positions. A little bit more forced. Why? What do we have to be conscious about now?
Well, since the new rule was added, that means there were probably a bit fewer defenders, so you could look for gaps.
Look for gaps. So what have we got to make sure we're doing as the ball carrier and as the support players to do that as well? Go forward. What else? How do we identify that space? Got to look at better word than looking.
Making
Searching. If I say scanning, Why is scanning better than looking? You're looking at, seeing the whole picture, aren't you? Okay, so if I'm looking at actually where the space or where the ball is, if I'm scanning, I can see where the picture changes as well. Okay, so heads up all the time. Whether I'm on the ball or off the ball, I'm scanning. If I'm off the ball, I'm feeding that information in. Okay, and that might sound like if we're in attack, that might sound like ball. How better detail could I get on that? Here, yeah. Me.
Left, right.
Good. Left, right, short, flat, long. Okay. Loads of those things. We get that detail in now. That's where we start to actually step up the gear a little bit, okay, and be really detailed in what we're talking about. Good. So it's quite close in there. Some tries scored. I'm going to change up the game. Same game, same rules. Okay. This time, rather than running to touch the cone in defence, just conscious of your numbers. If you make the touch to the defender, you just drop to one knee. Okay. Until the next phase has been played. The next touch has been made. Okay, so it drops the knee aware of the space that you're in. The scoring system's changed though. You get 10 points for kicking, and you get 5 points for a try. Okay, it's still 21-20 compared to the second half of this game. All please on man. Play. One touch. Backwards. Two touches. Backwards. Three touches, got one more face.
Yeah, pass it.
Unlucky, non-big ball, let them have it, play. Touch. Good, touch, that's two. Touch, that's three. Left. Yeah, I'll give you that score. Well done, you scored the try. You got past the line. That's 5 points. 21. Great snap, unlucky. Play on, go backwards, I'll give you that, that's fine. That's one phase. Two phases.
Good hands.
Three phases, got one left. Touch there, turnover, new ball on me, play.
We're not dropping to one knee though.
No, they're not.
That's what they were told to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kick it.
Oh, you got past the line.
Yeah, kick it. You've got 10 points.
Minute left.
Kick it.
3 minutes is it something?
One more phase left, you've got one more phase, one more phase, one more phase. Turnover, ball play.
Down the right.
Make sure we go down in defence, discipline.
Yes, Matt.
Two, unlucky, the offload.
Yeah.
That's three.
Yeah.
Pass, yeah. Pass. One more phase left, yes. One more phase left.
Yes.
One more phase left. Unlucky, turnover. 30 seconds left.
Kick it.
There's one phase. Unlucky, turnover.
Yes, chuck it. Yes. That's it.
One more phase.
Yes.
Give you a score and finish there. Give me a cup. Great last kick to win that well. Okay. Was really well. Okay, so what things do we have to think about in that game to be successful in attack?
Getting into space.
How do we do that? How do we do that? How do we draw out? Okay, so using the space, okay, finding the space first of all and doing that. Good, so a bit of footwork. Good.
We had to look for where they thought they could get through.
Yeah, okay. So that's in defence, right? Okay, so what things do we have to think about in defence? So pressing, what else?
Covering space.
Covering space, keeping a connected line, good. Thought you've done that quite well, especially with low numbers, working hard from that, especially when you were losing numbers. How disciplined were we on that last round in defence with the conditions? What were the rules?
We didn't really
Okay, again, so thinking about discipline, if the rule's there, we need to make sure we do it exactly the same on a Sunday with the game. We've got to still make sure we're conditioning the rules. It's there for a reason, isn't it, to get us thinking around. But fair play again in defence, we started to do that. Got straight into defence there, we're still talking about attack though. What else was good in attack that we were using?
When you call it ball.
So much better, wasn't it? Okay, and it actually had a bit of detail onto it as well. Okay, and if you've got a bit of detail, how much easier does that help you as a ball carrier? It's a lot more, isn't it? Because you know who they are, okay? And you could actually then think about what sort of pass I might need to do or how that looks, yeah?
Yeah, when we were on our last phase, the majority of the time we were trying to kick it, so we could get that extra 5 points.
Okay, cool. So perfectly leads me into what we're going to talk about next. So I changed the rules in terms of the points of how you can score them, okay? Fair play, we still saw some tries. We should always be looking to score tries. But I just wanted to put a little bit of emphasis then on actually our kicking game. So what do we need to do tactically to change the way we can score more points from kicks there? And did we do it?
Like if you're like towards near the try line, you just then if you've gone through, just like a tiny
Get through. Okay, good. So we're still looking for that success. What's the risk of that in the game that we were playing? It was actually probably the way both teams were playing.
Basically 0%, no risk, because if you're already near, you just like
But the base of the game there was you saying you have to go through the lines. So what's the risk of the conditions? How many turnover? What consumed the turnover? How many touches? 4. How quickly were they being used up? Okay, so how could we have built up more points? Keeping it all alive a little bit more by kicking it maybe into the corners and having to go a little bit more. Were we set up in a better way to be able to take our time with those kicks? How could we change that tactically? We will go into that. We're not going to go into it. But if we were to go back into that game again, how would we change that setup? Okay, good. So we weren't passing it back though, were we?
No,
Okay, so now we actually bring a bit of depth into it. Okay, if all of our teams got depth, does that change it? Or if one person drops back into it, does that give them more time into it? Does that then help us in attack? Not go advance. What are you going to say?
I was going to say 1, because if there was loads, then the defence would read it equal way.
Awesome. So actually then thinking tactically, who we dropping back, okay? Is it a stronger kicker? Is it someone that's actually more accurate with our kicks as well? Is it someone that's got a better picture of where the boxes are? And having a go at that as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So just actually sometimes we have to change the way we're playing our game a little bit, doesn't it? Okay? And actually look for the space. We knew there wasn't we knew there was space there. If we had a bigger game, if we were talking defensively, how might we counteract that a little bit more? Just out of interest. So we're starting to kick into the corners, how might we counteract that? Cool, so what have we added in position-wise? Fullback. The fullback, so that's when we start to think about that as well, and how we, sort of defence is, isn't it? How do we counter what the strengths are in attack? And then in attack, how do we get through in terms of the defence? And sometimes that is a way forward, isn't it? So just in terms of tonight, a couple of things that we've looked at. Principles of play. What have we looked at? Go forward. What else? What about we can't go forward? What do we need for depth for passing? Yeah. What else? Communication. Support. Good. So support in different ways. Scanning and communication brings all that into it, doesn't it? Okay. Because if we've got the support there and we're scanning and we're talking, then we know what we're looking to try and do. If it's silence, there's a lot of pressure on the ball carrier to try and force a decision from that, okay, which ultimately is probably going to lead to a mistake. Talks about it a little bit. Was there any other principles of play that we looked at? Okay, so we had go forward, we've got support, so 2 things go hand in hand. Communication underpins it all. What were one of the teams good at earlier? You said earlier in that last round, what we're really good at doing with the ball, keeping it alive. You know what that is in the principles of play? We need to see. I say continuity. Have we heard that before? So continuity means continuous play. Okay, keeping the ball alive, not allowing it to slow down into a breakdown. Boys, we can think about those principles of play. It really helps us improve our game, and we definitely saw that, didn't we? Especially on that go forward. Because we haven't got that go forward, we need support to get the go forward again. Okay, so really think that when you go back into your session. Boys, thank you very much tonight. You're really good in terms of the
Yeah, well done, lads.
Gilbert bag for you boys, and orange one's yours. Guys, come round. It's not horrible out here, so probably just wrap up out here rather than trekking back in. Cool thoughts from you guys? Anything new? Anything different? A lot of stuff we've done before.
I think for me, one of the things that stood out and chatted to a couple of people, I think you said about the principle of play. We probably learn it in a book, we do it on our courses, we probably may put it in our sessions, but telling the
Do we
kids
refer
about
it? Yeah. And you
Do
can
it,
see
you know.
straight away there. Actually, they do know it.
Yeah.
It's just it might need a bit of forcing, but once we've got into that, did we have? And then you can start using the thing. Did we have go forward? No. Okay. So how do we get go forward? So we actually got that in that session there because we talked about it, and then when they didn't have it in that game, how much was the difference between the second round of that game between the first? They were very static. It was very lateral. We'll get no success at all. And then straight away we had 4 or 5 tries out of the back of nowhere, didn't we? Okay, straight away from go forward. I actually thought, to be fair, it was they done pretty well in that session in terms of some of the outcomes into it.
They started talking.
Started talking again. Okay. How did I try and manipulate and force that issue?
You're asking them questions all the time.
Yeah, a lot of it was open, wasn't it?
Good pace
Yeah.
as well.
Good.
Yeah.
I like the idea where you put them into little pockets within even themselves to manage. They're actually, trying to come up with the answers and then
Exactly,
coming
yeah.
back to you rather than
That pit. Put them in the pit.
It'll be learning pit. Go and talk about it. I don't need to influence too much of that. To be honest, I don't really need to listen a lot to it as well. Like when it's a key element, I might start having a little bit of veering, but that actually give me a bit of a chance to set up stuff. Yeah, I might have stuff set up beforehand, but we might then discuss as coaches. Okay, what are we thinking? What are we seeing? Are we going to change what we've just planned, or how's it going? So that gives that opportunity there. Again, a pressure, a time constraint onto them. If they've got 10 seconds to talk, how much they're going to talk. If we give them a minute, then again, does that start going off track with some of the boys and then they start talking nonsense? It's not good. So keeping it back in focus and that pace is key to it. So we've done probably we've done, I know they were out here before, we've probably done about a half hour, 35 minutes in terms of activity. Those are low group, but obviously they're pretty active after that and pretty blowing. So, but learning outcomes wise, so they probably could have got another sort of 5-10 minutes out of there, but again the quality starts to dip, so we're done in terms of it.
And you got out the way, kept it moving.
Yeah,
With the 2 balls, that was really good.
Yeah, it's a really sort of easy kind of sort of skill set, and just again, and I'm varying the conditions without even changing what I'm doing. I've got 2 different balls, or another coach got a different ball and just different starting points. Okay, so we never stop start.
Makes them think differently.
Makes them think differently. Okay, I can do it at very different points. I can change it to manipulate the game a little bit. So where I'm throwing the ball might be into space, so they can utilise that to get the game flowing a little bit more if it's gone dead a little bit as well. Who I'm giving the ball to, where I'm doing it as well, and getting them involved. Again, in bigger groups and smaller groups, that can vary differently. The different shaped ball that I'm using, and again, the conditions in that as well. So just again, as a coaching practice, lots of different things that we can pick up and just do that can change our session without drastically actually changing the whole practice of what we're doing. I mean, really, I've looked at I've kind of had 3 games tonight effectively that I've just evolved and changed. And what other constraints could you have put into that game, that last game? So we had we had 4 touch turnovers, and then they had to obviously drop to the knee, which weren't as good as obviously rather than touching the sideline, just to create a bit of space and some kicks. Any other conditions we could put into that?
Having to touch the ball before they score.
Yeah, okay, good. So building that into it a little bit more. Again, like so a constraint like that, would that have benefited or actually detrimented that game a little bit more in terms of the flow of it because of the space constraints and things like that as well? Would that be worked better in the one earlier when we had sort of 3 or 4 asides because they were able to do that a little bit more? What if we were to bring in a contact element to it?
Yeah.
Would you still do that game? What kind of constraint?
Yeah.
Good.
Or you can change the numbers. If one person's always on the attacking team, so you're always
So
waiting.
an overload on there, yeah, or constant attack. Again, so you're already just discussing already some different constraints that you could do and drop out. I manipulated straight away. I had guys dropping out to touch a cone and come back in. I then swapped that just to drop down to the knee because obviously they were getting quite fatigued by doing that, which was then slowing their quality of accuracy down
I
as
like the other
well.
way because one of the things I find is communication is so poor. You got 2 of them. Told the condition to 2 of them, got them to go and talk in.
Yeah, good.
Because
So
they're
yeah,
encouraging
I
them.
forgot about that bit. So yeah, so using the huddles and actually rather than getting them all in, right, these are the rules. They're talking, they're being proactive. Coaches might have a little listen on there. You other co-coaches might just be guiding them a little bit. One with the attack, one with the defence. Put them in, and I'm just giving some new constraints. They only had 1 to feed back in, but if you give the older the group maybe that can handle that, and give them a couple, they've got to go back and feed that in. And again, straight away they had a time pressure. They had 10 seconds to feed that in, understand it. If they don't, how does that affect the game again? If it's really messy, right, stop. What were the conditions? Quick talk about it, back in again. So the game's constantly flowing. They're forcing the communication, which they got so much better at straight away. A couple of really accurate calls on there, some good offloads and that as well.
I suppose obviously you're saying that they probably only had a little bit longer left to them before they're going to dip off.
Yeah.
Where would you then take the next part of the session I suppose going on? Would you then move out to kind of a skill zone and do some bits, or something like that?
Again, I suppose it depends on what the flow of the session. I mean, look, we're getting a good process of planning the session and things like that. And I think when you've got a team consistently, you can start to do that. With these kind of sessions, when you come in kind of ad hoc, it just create what happens in front of us really. And you could pretty much plan a session with that, especially with younger age groups. And even with this age group, really, you could still pretty much plan and see what comes out of it. Get them, look, what we're struggling with at the weekend. Okay, it was this. Okay, so what can we do in the game to force that into there? And again, all of those ideas and games that we use, we could have forced different elements of the game into it as well. If we take kicking out of it, how does that change the rules of it, etc. as well? So yeah, it might, if it's getting fatigued, again, there might just be some smaller breakouts that go into it, that whole kind of thing. So you've got their breakout skills. That doesn't have to be a static drill. That was a drill when I broke out into the hands, but ultimately it's still a bit of a game, wasn't it? They're still having to beat defenders, go into there, not a bad success rate. Maybe change the space, take out one of the defenders to give it that a little bit. They still had a scoring element to it within that as well. And it's important, I think, if we break out into them, we don't spend too long on them. So they're 4 or 5 minutes, we're back into the bigger game again. But again, if we could have split that down into 3 groups again, or 2 groups, two smaller games, or 3, 4 aside. And how does that change the thinking then, and change the game? So you can just evolve it around that way. Again, you're probably not going to be wanting to do more than an hour's sort of session anyway. They're out here at 7, so pretty much done off that. It's good intensity, you've got a good outcome, and then we take that into the next one as well. So there's always a risk of over training, and I think a lot of sessions, I know it's countrywide, and I know a lot of sessions are like pretty much 2 hours on a Sunday, but actually, if you actually were to break that session down, when's that cut off when we've actually lost them? And it's probably, I'm guessing, after about 55, 60 minutes. So how does that look in terms of proactivity of your session? How does that change? Can we bring in some sort of fundamental movement stuff at the start of the session before we go into our rugby block, rather than just having it a full slam hour and a half of rugby, you know? And again, once we've hit our outcomes, let's move it on, because that's when we're going to capture those learning moments. Otherwise, it's just going to be bombarded with information and then they drop from there. That's easier for us as well to manage and get what we've got out of the session. So again, guys, like I said inside, I could literally list a load of different ideas and a load of different things. Hope that's given you a bit of a snippet of some things to discuss and take into your age groups. I'll fire over, like I said, the slides and in the online hub. Please have a little look through some of the videos and drills. Those games are on there, and again in sort of different formats. So try and sort of have a go and try them. They might work in some constraints, they might not work. If it looks messy, don't worry about it. No one's going to sack you as the under-10s coach at Valerians. If they do, there's a big problem there. So yeah, I'll be interested to sort of see who's done that if it's the case. So again, look, it's no pressure environment, isn't it? Try things, put the emphasis on the players a little bit more, and put them into that sort of learning zone a little bit more through from there. But yeah, I'll be hanging around for a little bit, guys, for any questions. But guys, thank you for inviting us down.
Thank you very much.